One letter, one memory, one moment that changed everything. He died thinking I hated him. I still remember the slam of the front door, the last sound he made before he vanished from my life. We had just argued again. Nothing out of the ordinary. But this time, the silence that followed was permanent. When the phone rang 2 days later, and I heard the words accident and no survivors, my knees buckled. He died thinking I hated him, and that truth haunts me more than any ghost ever could. Ethan was my older brother, 3 years older, reckless, loud, always doing something stupid, and yet deep down, I idolized him. He was the kind of person who could walk into a room and shift the energy. Growing up, we were inseparable. He taught me how to ride a bike, how to lie to mom without getting caught, how to fight back in school. But as we got older, something changed. We grew into different people. He ran wild, I stayed grounded. And with that came resentment. It started small, eye rolls, sarcastic comments. But over time, our fights got meaner, sharper. I said things I didn't mean. He said things I wished weren't true. The last time we spoke, I told him I was ashamed to be related to him. He called me a cold-hearted fake who thought I was better than everyone. I slammed my bedroom door. He slammed the front door, and that was it. I didn't go after him. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't say sorry. I waited, because part of me believed he'd come back. He always did. This time, he didn't. The car crash happened on Highway 14 around 3 a.m. He had been drinking. The police said he lost control, hit the guardrail, flipped the car. He was declared dead on the scene. They asked if I wanted to see the body. I said no. I couldn't bear the idea of seeing his face frozen in time. Before I could tell him I didn't mean it. The funeral was quiet, fewer people than I expected. Mom sat with a tissue pressed to her lips, eyes red, hands trembling. Dad didn't say a word. I sat there stiff, like I didn't belong. People whispered around me, "Poor Ethan. Such a waste." But one whisper stuck with me. At least he's at peace now. And all I could think was, I'm not. After the funeral, I cleaned out his room. It smelled like old cologne and dusty flannel. There were clothes on the floor, books half read, a PlayStation controller still tangled in cords. I found a box under his bed, photos, old letters, movie tickets, and a note, just one, folded and creased. My name was written on the front. My hand shook as I opened it. His handwriting was messy, like always. It wasn't long, just a few lines. You're not easy to love, but you're worth it. I'm proud of you, even if I don't say it right. I'm sorry for being a mess. I wish I knew how to be the brother you deserved. I cried for the first time in years. I read that note 100 times. Each time it felt like a knife twisting deeper. He wrote it before the fight. Maybe he never meant to give it to me. Maybe he was waiting for the right time, and I robbed him of that chance. We always think there's more time, until there isn't. I started dreaming about him. Not the loud, wild Ethan, but a quieter version. He'd sit beside me on the porch, not speaking. Sometimes I'd turn to say something, but my mouth wouldn't open, and he'd just smile, like he forgave me. I'd wake up crying every time. I stopped looking in the mirror. All I saw was guilt. Guilt carved into my skin like scars. I didn't hate him. I never did. I hated what we became. But I loved him, and I never got to say that out loud. Mom tried to talk to me. She'd knock gently, leave tea outside my room. But I couldn't face her. I couldn't face anyone. Because when people looked at me, I imagined they saw what I saw. The brother who pushed Ethan away. The brother who didn't call. Time passed, but nothing felt real. I went through the motions, school, work, meals. But inside, I was stuck in that moment. That slammed door, that ringing phone, that one heartbeat of silence after I heard the words, "We're sorry, but..." One day I walked past a park we used to go to as kids. There was a boy, maybe 10 years old, riding a bike with his older brother. They were laughing. Something inside me broke open. I sat on the nearest bench and sobbed until the sky went dark. I wanted that back. Just one more day. I started writing letters I'd never send. To Ethan, telling him about my day, about what made me smile, about the songs I thought he'd like. Sometimes I'd even write apologies, raw, messy, honest. It was the only way I knew how to keep him close. One letter started like this. I wish I could go back. I'd let you talk more. I'd listen better. I wouldn't roll my eyes when you got dramatic. I'd hug you before you left. I wouldn't let you leave mad. But wishes don't change the past. On Ethan's birthday, I visited his grave. It was cold. The wind stung my face, but I stood there for hours. I brought him a copy of his favorite comic. I said his name out loud over and over, like that could summon him. It didn't, but it felt good to say it anyway. I finally told Mom everything, about the fight, the guilt, the note. She held me while I broke. She said, "You loved him in your way. He knew that." But I wasn't sure I believed her. Not yet. Sometimes I hear his laugh when I'm alone. Sometimes I say something and realize it's exactly what he would have said. He's in me, I guess, in the good parts, and maybe in the broken ones too. I started volunteering at a teen center, helping kids who feel lost like we once did. Maybe if someone had done that for Ethan, things would have been different. Or maybe not. But it helps me breathe a little easier. It helps me forgive myself. Forgiveness isn't a moment, it's a process. Some days I still wake up hating myself. Other days I remember that love is messy, and we both were too. But we tried. That has to count for something. I no longer avoid the mirror. Now I see someone trying, someone learning, someone who still misses his brother every single day, but who finally understands that pain is just love with nowhere to go. He died thinking I hated him. But maybe, just maybe, he also knew the truth. That hate was never the end of our story. That beneath all the anger, there was love, always, even in the silence. I keep the note in my wallet, folded, worn, unreadable to anyone but me. It reminds me that love, even when left unsaid, still lingers, and that sometimes the hardest part of losing someone is forgiving yourself for not loving them better while you had the chance. If I could say one thing to him now, it would be this. I didn't hate you, Ethan. I loved you in the only way I knew how. Flawed, quiet, buried under pride. But it was always love. Always. And maybe somehow he already knew.